Hello and welcome YouTubers and Doctor Who fanatics, and today's video I'm doing a top 10 countdown on the top 10 Sixth Doctor stories. Now before Big Finish, Colin Baker, the Sixth Doctor, was not one of my favourite Doctors. Still very much appreciated Colin Baker's work on the TV series because he put his heart and soul into it, but the material he was given wasn't very good. The stories were rather mediocre at best. Some of them, he still got some gems in his era, but the writing wasn't as strong and pretty cheap the stories looked. And a lot of people blame Colin Baker, but Colin Baker did not do anything wrong. He just was given the wrong material, but in Big Finish he absolutely shines. He has some fantastic releases and stories, so you can really appreciate Colin Baker as the Sixth Doctor, and of course he's got a true ending to his Doctor to justify it. Ever since Big Finish, Colin Baker the Sixth Doctor is one of my favourite Doctors. He's my fifth favourite Doctor, so he's in my top 5, so thanks to Big Finish that would have never happened. And I know a lot of people do struggle to like the Sixth Doctor, but in Big Finish it's a completely different story. You will fall in love with his Doctor without a shadow of a doubt. And here is the top 10 Sixth Doctor stories, so sit back, relax and enjoy. Now before I move into number 10, this list was very difficult. There are so many classic Sixth Doctor stories. Some of them I don't have yet. I have a lot of Sixth Doctor stories, but still there's loads of them and I don't own every single one. So there's one I'm missing on the list, which is fantastic. I probably either haven't listened to it, I haven't listened to most majority of the audios I have, or I don't own it. Anyway, for number 10, it's the 14th release from the monthly range, The Holy Terror by Robert Sherman. Of course, a brilliant Doctor Who writer who did some fantastic work for Big Finish. You see something with Robert Sherman's name on it, I insist you definitely pick it up immediately. Robert Sherman's done some classic Doctor Who stories with The Holy Terror, Scherzo, Jubilee, The Brilliant Chimes of Midnight. He's done classics left, right and centre, and yeah, The Holy Terror is an absolute classic, absolutely. And of course, by the cover of this release, it features Frobisher. This is an absolutely wonderful tale, and expect this story to be very dark humour and comedy. Very dark humour, expect that from mostly, or from Robert Sherman's work. He definitely goes for very dark comedy. It's actually very fun during the first half of this. I find the first half very fun and enjoyable. Then, after the second half, it takes the turn for the worse. Not literally takes the turn for the worse, but it just turns very dark and gritty a little bit, quite shocking in some scenes, I would say. And yeah, Big Finish were very much like this during the early stages, as Doctor Who wasn't on at the time, so they did exactly what Virgin Books did, so they had a wider approach of what they can put into their audios. And you can see it's messed up in places, this audio. It's quite gritty and very serious during the second half, absolutely. Colin Baker shines as the Sixth Doctor, and also Robert Jezik, who plays Frobisher, only appears in 2 stories for our Big Finish. The Maltese Penguin, a special 60-minute audio, and this, and that's all we got from the lovable Frobisher for Big Finish, unfortunately. I love to see more of the shape-shifting penguin, but I do find it unlikely. Yeah, this one's a very popular Sixth Doctor story and just got on the list, and still this list was impossible to construct because of so many classic Sixth Doctor stories, but yeah, I've got to put this one on the list, or at least an honourable mention, of course. Yeah, it's on the list. It's a brilliant story. That's a 9 out of 10. Pick this one out, absolutely. Or you can get it on download. Our print audios are difficult to get now. All 1 to 50 are gone. Then you can just download this for $2.99. All 1 to 50 audios are $2.99. That's a bargain. And some of the best stories from Big Finish are in 1 to 50, like The Chimes of Midnight, earned number 1 of the Big Finish monthly range stories, and yeah, rightly so. It is a whopping story, of course. See, that was number 10, The Holy Terror by Robert Sherman. Now to number 9. Number 9 on the list is a very important Doctor Who story for one reason. It is the Marian Conspiracy, and the reason why this one is a very important Sixth Doctor story, as this is where the Sixth Doctor changes to become a very lovable and charming and polite Doctor, not really this brash and full of attitude Doctor from the TV series. This is where the Sixth Doctor really does change, and is the introduction of, I would say, my favourite Big Finish companion, who passed away not too long ago. Much respect to Maggie Stable, she was an absolutely wonderful person and played Evelyn Smythes in this one. And yeah, the chemistry with the Sixth Doctor and Evelyn is absolutely beautiful in this one. I absolutely love it. I can tell right from the start, even though they're like sort of arguing against each other, you can still see that these two are going to get along very well, and the Sixth Doctor, Evelyn really puts the Sixth Doctor back in line all the time. And yeah, this is a wonderful historical story, a lot like the Massacre for the Sixth Doctor, and yeah, I do like the Massacre. And this one is a very nice historical. Also got a very nice plot in this one, with Evelyn Smythes being taken out of time and vanishing, which is a very nice side of the plot. And also, as I forgot to mention, it's set in the Tudor times. And yeah, Jacqueline Rayner, when writing this story, took a lot of inspiration from the Massacre actually, and the Reign of Terror as well. And yeah, I would probably say this is my favourite from 1 to 15, that little area with the massive thick spines of all the text. I would say that's my favourite from that area. I really like this story, I do. If you're not really a fan of pure historical stories, then I would say maybe give it a miss. And if you want to see the great chemistry, which I think is the best thing about this one, the chemistry of the Sixth Doctor and Evelyn, that's how they interact with each other, I'd say definitely pick this one up at number 9. Again, this is $2.99 on the Big Finish website, which is absolutely worth it for a brilliant 4-parter historical story. So that was number 9, The Marian Conspiracy. Now to number 8. Number 8 on the list is actually one I've recently listened to, and it is The Juggernauts by Scott Alan Woodard. Is it? Yeah, it is by him. As you can see, it features the Sixth Doctor and Mel with Davros with the mechanoids on there as well. I found this story very interesting, and what Davros is doing in the story, very shifty and manipulative, I would say, in this one, so I really like that, and what he's doing with the Daleks and then with the mechanoids. Nice main plot and subplot with the mechanoids. I found their subplot of what they're actually going to be used for pretty predictable. I seen that coming from quite a long way away, but still I find this story very much enjoyable. And this story is set between Revelation of the Daleks and Remembrance of the Daleks. I'd say it also builds up very nicely the Dalek Civil War in this one quite well into Remembrance of the Daleks. So if you love Remembrance of the Daleks and you want to have a little bit of build up to the Dalek Civil War in Remembrance, then I would say yeah, Juggernauts is still good for that. I'd say this is not one of the most action-packed stories. This one's very talkative, I would say, especially mostly focused on Davros at this point in stage of what he's doing with the Daleks, what he thinks about them, and as well including the mechanoids in there as well. So yeah, I would say it starts off very talkative. It's a very heavy dialogue for the first half. Still, I think it's brilliant. Then it gets rather into the action to the second part, and then part 4 is very much action-packed throughout. So don't expect this one to be epic in every single part. It's like guns, explosions going on and everything like that. No, Juggernauts is not really like that. But it definitely has some great character moments for Davros, being quite manipulative in this one as well. And also a very nice twist with Davros as well during part 1, which I quite liked. I didn't really see that coming, so I think that was very well covered up as well. And as well, if you like the chase and you're interested in the mechanoids, I would say also pick this one up as well. It's good for that. So yeah, number 8 is The Juggernauts, a very good Sixth Doctor story. This is a very popular one, this is, for many people. Some people say it's rather mediocre. Some people do say that. No, I wouldn't say that. I would say it's mediocre. I think it's a great story. Definitely give this one a 9 out of 10, absolutely. You can see there's so many good classic Sixth Doctor stories. There's all the ones so far, all 9 out of 10 so far. Yeah, that's number 8, The Juggernauts. Now to number 7. Number 7 on the list is rather of an underrated and unappreciated Doctor Who story in my opinion. I have a sort of a fondness to this one. I don't know why, because it's not very well loved and received by many. It is Catch 1782 by, I forgot the writer, Alison Lawson. I was sort of thinking by the cover of it, it's going to be a nice ghost tale or something like that, but no, it's not. So I was thinking, oh, I'm going to be underwhelmed now, but no, what a fantastic and lovely character piece in my opinion. This is definitely one of Mel's stronger stories in my personal opinion, and she gets a lot to do in this one, expand her character, like she wants to be going into the section of computers and that's explored a little bit in there. As you can see, the 7th Doctor and Mel trilogy sort of explores that a lot more, so that's good for the character. And I don't really want to go too much into this one. It's better to go into this one cold and not knowing what you're going to expect from this one. But yeah, Mel is being taken out of time and then placed into 1782, and that's where it begins, in my opinion, the really nice and lovely character moments. A lot of people find it really dragged out and they just get bored. My opinion, I don't. I just like it what we get here. It's very different to other Doctor Who stories. I will admit that is a lot different from any other Doctor Who story. But yeah, as the story progresses, you're thinking, oh, how is Mel going to get out of this situation without time ripping apart? Yeah, the story becomes very paradoxical during the second half. It's a wonderful story in my opinion. I would rate this one 9 out of 10. Would you like this story? Well, it really depends if you like the character of Mel, which I do in Big Finish, and it is essentially a character piece. Nothing more, nothing less. It's a character piece for Mel. But still, the 6th Doctor gets plenty of nice stuff to do in this one as well. Very connected to the plot and trying to help Mel escape from the time where she's in 1782. It's a lot of fun, this one. See, that's number 7, maybe controversial. Catch 1782. So that was number 7, now to number 6. Number 6 on the list is Masters of Earth. Definitely one of the best releases from 2014. This is a marvellous story. I would recommend the 6th Doctor and Perry trilogy from 2014. The Widow's Assassin, which I find quite hard to picture personally for me, but still it's good. Masters of Earth and the Rani Elite. It's a good trilogy which really puts Perry through a lot. There's a nice moments with the 6th Doctor and Perry within that trilogy. And yeah, I also did this in my recommendation video. It's a whopping story. And yes, it is definitely, I would say by miles, this is the best story from 6th Doctor and Perry trilogy, and possibly 2014 is just that rocking of a release. As you can see, it looks very much like Dalek Invasion of Earth. This is the prequel to it. Now, you don't have to like Dalek Invasion of Earth to get into this one. I'm not a big fan of the Dalek Invasion of Earth, but I still had no problem with this whatsoever. You don't have to like that story to get into this whatsoever, so if you're worried about that, nothing to be worried about. This is just a whopping story, and I said this in my review last year that you will fall in love with the 6th Doctor absolutely when you get this one. It's a fantastic story. The 6th Doctor really puts his heart and soul in this one. Characters are brilliant. We had the Varga plants in this one, very well portrayed on audio, especially in Davros even more. That's a little bit more grittier and yeah, a bit more disgusting, I would say, in Davros. But still, they're great here, and also it has the Robomen as well. So it does have a lot of Dalek Invasion of Earth within this one. So yeah, again, if you do love Dalek Invasion of Earth, you probably adore this one as a 10 out of 10, probably. I haven't listened to this one this year, and that's really bad. I've only listened to it 3 times during 2014 when it came out. Once in November and twice in December, and then for some reason I haven't gone back to it. That's very weird, but I remember loving this one, and I have to listen to this one this month, absolutely, because I don't know what I'm doing not listening to it. It's a whopping story. The only thing I didn't like about it was what it did. Something happened, like the resolution during the end, and there was something I didn't like about it. I can't remember what it was. No, I can't remember. There was something which really got on my nerves a little bit. But still, fantastic story nonetheless at number 6. Definitely pick this one up. It's, as I said, one of the best releases for 2014. That was number 6, Masters of Earth. Now to number 5. Number 5 on the list, it is Crisscross by Matt Fitton. Fantastic story this one is. Matt Fitton's been on a brilliant roll ever since Stage Fright. He's just been doing cracking with his stories, the 11. Probably done well with the unit stories in the unit extinction box set, but I don't have that yet. But this one is a magnificent story, really well researched. I gotta credit Matt Fitton. Researched really well. And this story is pretty much for me anyway. It's got code cracking, set in World War II, the turn-in tests. And it's wonderful, and I love code cracking, ciphertext and all that. And the enemy really fits in the story, which is its wave form. Got some fantastic characters. I have to remember some of them, because some of them I can't remember. Like, oh yeah, of course I should know him. Agent Spark, he was a really, really wonderful character. And like the direction he goes, and he's a very funny character, but still he keeps his intimidation. And yeah, also Major Harris, I remember saying in my review, he's my favourite supporting character. Yeah, I liked him. Seemed like the main enemy at the start, really against the Sixth Doctor. Had a lot of animosity, and the Sixth Doctor really loves leadership in this one. And it's also the introduction of Constance, who is the leading Wren. So of course, you can see that they're really going to get along, Sixth Doctor and Constance. They love leadership. So you can see they're going to get along very well. Really puts themselves into harm's way. They have a lot of similarities, still have their differences, but they have a lot of similarities and work very well. And Constance, you can see, well, of course, she's a leading Wren. She's got to have like an attitude and very brash, but in this story you can really see another side to the character, that she's actually a very soft and gentle, loving character. And it's wonderful in this release. It was during like part 3, like very late part 3, I remember that happening. It was a wonderful moment in Crisscross. It was brilliant. Yeah, this is an outstanding Sixth Doctor story. A very good introduction to the Sixth Doctor. Very much, if you want to get into Big Finish or Sixth Doctor audios, this is definitely one a lot of YouTubers, and it makes perfect sense, say that this is probably one of the best starts of the Sixth Doctor, and I completely agree with that. And it's definitely a 9 out of 10 without a shadow of a doubt. I wouldn't go any lower. It is a very strong 9 out of 10. Number 4 on the list is from the Sixth Doctor The Last Adventure set, and it is Stage Fright. Fantastic story, and my favourite from the Sixth Doctor The Last Adventure set. It features the Sixth Doctor, the brilliant and lovely Lisa Greenwood playing Flip, and then the almighty and fantastic Jago and Lightfoot, Christopher Benjamin and Trevor Baxter. You know I hype these two a lot. The Jago and Lightfoot series is just absolutely wonderful. It's really well handled, this one, by Matt Fitton, because it's got a really nice balance of serious storytelling and comedy. It's just really balanced out very well, and the comedy doesn't diminish the actual serious storytelling with the Sixth Doctor and the Valeyard. It's really well balanced. It's a brilliant part of the story what the Valeyard is doing on stage, recreating the Doctor's regeneration, such as the Second Doctor winning the War Kings, which was fantastic. Flip is great in this one. Her character has some nice character background on Earth, that she had a fear of performing on stage, so yeah, stage fright. And I like it where she goes up and faces her fears. That's a fantastic moment in this story. It definitely gets really dark, where you can see not only husks but companions' clothing which the Doctor has travelled with, which is a very mocking and taunting way for the Valeyard to send a message to the Doctor. I find it really messed up and twisted. But then this is a real good moment where the Doctor's on stage. Throughout the entire moment, that is the best part of this story and the entire set. The Valeyard really speaks down to him, really grabs his two hearts and talks down to him. And it feels like the Valeyard has all the power within this story throughout the entire duration of the audio. It's wonderful. Michael Jaston performs him fantastically, and he's got a brilliant laugh. I did rate this a 9 in my review, but I'm just going to give it a 10. I'm going to give it a 10, yes. It really does deserve it, this one. Because there's nothing which I don't like about it. I like everything about it. And it's just wonderful. So, yeah, I'll rate it a 10. It really deserves it. The best from the set, without a shadow of a doubt for me. So that was number 4, and I'm going to do some quick honourable mentions. the honourable mentions, we had the Nightmare Fair. I haven't listened to this one in a long time, but I do remember liking it. So yeah, I'm still going to put it on this list as an honourable mention. I really need to revisit this one and see if my thoughts have changed, because I listened to this when I was rather well, in my opinion, a bad reviewer. So I will have to listen to this one again and maybe revisit it. Re-review it, sorry. Next honourable mention is The Crimes of Thomas Brewster, which features the introduction actually of Flip as a character. Not yet as a companion, but yeah, she comes back in The Curse of Davros. And yeah, it's also written by Jonathan Morris, a brilliant writer. Next one, written by Matthew Sweet, a very favourite writer of mine in my opinion, and released number 90. The Year of the Pig. A lot of people find it very long, because each part, well, it actually runs as a two-parter, and each part is an hour long. So it does feel very dragged out for many. But no, it doesn't for me. I love this story. It's very different again. Matthew Sweet always does a lot different sort of stories to every other Doctor Who writer. He's got his own style, really, like Paul Marks and Robert Sherman. He really has his own style. But I like the style, I do. It's rather underrated, and yeah, that's the reason why it's underrated. It's just so dragged out for some people. And it just doesn't, the plot isn't that engaging for them to just carry on. So yeah, I sort of get that. But for me, that isn't the case. It's a wonderful one for me. The next honourable mention, this is an underrated one and one I very much appreciate, and it was very close to entering the list. The Nowhere Place by Nicholas Briggs, a very creepy story. Really superior sound design. The sound design is magnificent on this one. Brilliant story, underrated, and not a lot of people do like this one, but I think it's an absolutely fantastic story. That's an 8 out of 10. And for the last honourable mention, it's Jubilee. Can't forget this one, it's by Robert Sherman. A wonderful Dalek story. It was my first Sixth Doctor and Evelyn story, and I haven't listened to it in God knows how long. I can't remember too much about it, but I do remember liking it. And I do remember it being very off the wall in some places, like, whoa, what on earth is happening? I remember something happening with the Dalek which just made me go, what on earth was that? And we've also got the singing Daleks as well, which is very fun. And we got very, very bad mutilation in this one, like legs being chopped off, and decapitation as well, so it's pretty bloody, this one is. But wonderful nonetheless. I just remember it being a bit crazy in some places, a bit silly, but I have to revisit it. So they were the honourable mentions which almost got on the list. I hope I haven't forgot any, because that would be really bad. I don't think I have. Anyway, let's move on to third place. And yeah, third place is The Curse of Davros, featuring the introduction as now Flip as a companion with the Sixth Doctor, and this one is a wonderful story. This was my first Jonathan Morris story, and this is where I really fell in love with this brilliant writer. He's my favourite Big Finish writer and one of my favourite writers of all time. I've listened to this story so many times and I just love it every single time. It's not a huge favourite among many, but I think it just comes down to nostalgia, because it was one of my earliest Big Finish stories and my first Jonathan Morris story. So I think it really comes down to that. And I find the twist on this good, very interesting, I do. Very interesting indeed. Just something a little bit more different for the Sixth Doctor and Davros as well. Really like that. You could sort of work it out when the dialogue sort of expands a little bit, and you can work it out, and I did work it out, but still I went wow to it. I still thought, this is going to be good. What's going to happen during the second half? I was thinking that much, so yeah, I was thinking optimistic with this one. And it didn't disappoint me at all. It's set in the Battle of Waterloo as well. What the Daleks are doing now is pretty interesting as well, with Napoleon and what's that guy's name? Oh, the Duke of Wellington. Deary me. Yeah, the Duke of Wellington and Napoleon as well. Actually, I should have just looked on the back cover because it's listed by there. Anyway, it's a brilliant story, this one. Flip is so lovable. You just want to love this companion. And I don't have the Fourth War or... Oh dear me, what am I? We're in Isle, that's it. I'm losing my will to live, I am. Yes, I haven't got those two stories. I've got Scavenger, but I don't want to listen to that. I want to listen to more in order. It's a good sign that we have more Flip stories coming, so that's definitely brilliant. That is, because Flip is such a lovable companion. Yeah, really good story, The Curse of Davros, a 10 out of 10 easily. But it mainly just comes down to nostalgia, really, and that's the same thing with number 1, I would say, as well. But still a whopping story at a 10 out of 10. Second place on the list, it is The Guardians of Prophecy by Jonathan Morris. Oh wow, wow, wow indeed. This is a fantastic lost story. It is a sequel to The Keeper of Traken, which on my first go at that, I wasn't a big fan of it. But over time, I think this story really did help. When I did return to The Keeper of Traken after listening to this one, I enjoyed The Keeper of Traken even more. I love this story so much. It was my favourite Sixth Doctor story, but one of them has taken over this one. Only slightly, just slightly. But if I had the choice to listen to Guardians of Prophecy or the other one, if you know me really well, you know what number 1 is. As you can see, it's a Sixth Doctor and Perry story, and we have the Malka on the cover as well. Part one I find very creepy with these Malka statues all around this like graveyard sort of place. That's how I picture it in my head anyway. It's a very political story during the first half, and it definitely gets really good when the audio introduces us to the villain called Malador, voiced by the brilliant and wonderful Stephen Thorne. Of course, a great voice and a great villain as well. He really just sounds like Omega, just Audacity is like tuned differently to make it sound different from Omega. Yeah, I think that in my head, but still, he's a wonderful villain, Malador. Absolutely wonderful, really powerful, intimidating, and he really feels like the big man in the room. Not a lot of people would rank this story as high as me for a second favourite Sixth Doctor story, but I absolutely love this one and I adore it. It was my favourite Sixth Doctor story at one point. About a couple of months ago it was, but I've been revisiting another one, which is number 1, just constantly, and I just think that's perfection. Anyway, that's number 2, The Guardians of Prophecy. Now to number 1. And for number 1, the best Sixth Doctor story, Project Twilight by Cavan Scott and Mark Wright. Now, I absolutely love this story an awful lot, and it's a very popular story as it starts off the Project Forge arc, which is a fantastic arc. It's also the first story to reference Zagreus, and it features the great vampires as the enemy. Cavan Scott and Mark Wright are absolutely wonderful writers, and they haven't done an awful lot for Big Finish. I wish they did a lot more stories, but good thing that on the 4th Doctor Adventures Season 6 they are confirmed to be writing one of the stories, which makes me feel really good inside, as this is the first story they're writing for the 4th Doctor, so that's very exciting stuff. Cavan Scott and Mark Wright, they only do one thing, which is fantastic. All their stories are brilliant. I haven't listened to Project Lazarus or Project Destiny just yet, but I hope those 2 other Project stories are just as good as Twilight. But I don't think it will beat Twilight, because I have so much nostalgia to this one, as it was a fairly early audio I actually listened to. I've listened to this one countless times. I have the 6th Doctor is wonderful, and Evelyn as well. So much brilliant chemistry and moments between the 2, and their relationship really gets tested on in a bit in this one, and as well Lazarus, as I've been told. It is a very dark and gritty story, this one. You have bodies exploding, mutilation, decapitation, a lot of that in this one. It's a pretty version style Big Finish story, this one is. And the characters are wonderful. We got Nimrod, who appears in all the Project stories. He's in Lazarus and Destiny as well, and he's just absolutely brilliant in this one. This isn't just my favourite 6th Doctor story, this is one of my all-time favourite Doctor Who stories. Yeah, I really do love this one and appreciate it a lot. At time, I was rating it a 9, and I rated it a 9.5, and now I've listened to it so many times, I'm just going to go for a 10. I think it deserves a 10 out of 10. It's a very personal Big Finish to me. But a lot of people do really appreciate this story, and I just think it's one of the best Big Finish stories ever. You can pick this up for $2.99 on the Big Finish website, but if you want to track it down on eBay, you can, but I will warn you, it is pretty difficult to get this one now. I found it difficult to get when I got it a year ago. Paid about £23 for this, and I gotta say it was even worth £23. It was worth it. What a fantastic story by Cameron Scott and Mark Wright. Colin Baker at his height. Right at the top of his performance is absolutely beautiful and fantastic. The story is brilliant. Pacing, flow, characters, it's all there. Really does talk about the topic of the Time Lord and Vampire War. It's discussed in this audio quite a bit. Zagreus, as I've mentioned, and starts off the Project Forge arc. As I said again, it's a brilliant arc. Yeah, if you can find this one, definitely pick this one up. So that was my top 10 Sixth Doctor stories. I hope you enjoyed this list. So I will be updating this list in the future, probably next year. Who knows, but it'll be definitely next year or something like that. But I'll definitely do an update video on the top 10 Sixth Doctor stories in the future. And I will perhaps do it on the other Doctors, like 5th Doctor, 7th and 8th Doctor as well. So I will see you in the next one for the top 10 4th Doctor adventures. That was again a very difficult list. So I'll see you in that video. So I'll see you in that one, and have a good one.